right.
How many of those?
Check.
One.
Check. Check one. Crew, crew,
Oh, no,
crew,
shut up.
crew.
Fucking, are they seriously cold?
What
Holy
up,
shit.
fellas?
What's up?
What's up,
Yo.
couple more crew?
What's
Um,
cracking?
so we're gonna do our quick little sound check. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you guys hear them
Yep.
okay? Couple more crew, let us know.
Check, check, check. Chickadee, 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 check.
Dope. I think that we're good.
Don't do on the video. They're cold in the inside.
Yeah.
What up, fellas?
What's happening, man? Nice to finally meet you.
Yeah, shit. This has been the norm for the past year, I guess. I've been meeting everybody on the show. Shit, let me give you guys a proper intro. Welcome to Long Story Short. We got the Sponges, the crew. You guys know I've been playing a ton of their tunes. We got some big releases on Box of Cats and Night Bass. And shit, we're gonna get to know the Sponges, where they come from, what they do, how it's going, and what the fuck they're up to. What's up, fellas?
Chilling big time, man. I think we actually met briefly in Miami Music Week. Like I bumped into you and I was like, dude, I love your scratching. I'm a huge scratching fan. I think I said maybe like 5,000 words to you in a matter of 2 seconds.
This is what he thinks he said. What he really said was,
and this is like right after Space Funk came out. So like we were like still very unknown.
We were very big headed.
Yeah, big headed, little results at the time though. But well, anyways.
If it was during Miami Music Week, then I was probably hanging by a thread.
Yeah, us too for sure. Yeah.
So you guys are from out that way, right? Where are you guys from?
Yeah, so we're from Palm Beach County, which is like an hour and a half north of Miami. So Miami Music Week, definitely something we like to go to.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, usually the past few years we'll just pick like a concert that we want to like go to and buy tickets and go. But 2019 we were like officially rock star DJs and Wongo came and actually stayed at our friend's house and he just took us around to like party after party. Like my wrist was like filled with entry bands or whatever by the end of the weekend, and so that was the first time we actually did Miami Music Week like full on. And yeah, it was pretty exhausting.
Wongo came to America and showed us around.
Yeah,
man, Wongo's the man. Fucking, we love Wongo.
Shout out to Wongo.
Shout out all the Box of Cats crew. Man, so you guys are babies, and I've been going to the conference. I must have a few years on you because I've been going to the music conference. I feel like for like 33 years.
Holy cow.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But like
I was like, fuck, dude, are you like fucking 1,000?
A long time though. But shit. So usually what we do is I want to get to know a little bit about, where you guys come from, where your sound comes from. So first off, let me know from each of you, how did you guys get into music? Like, what was your introduction into do you guys play instruments? Does your dad is in a rock band? You've been on tour your whole life? Like, let me know where you guys are actually coming from.
So we both kind of, I think we have a pretty similar musical background. Just kind of farted around on instruments growing up, but not like classically trained or any of that stuff. We started making beats in high school. We started making rap beats, and Ryan and I each had our own kind of like individual rap cliques or whatever. And so we met on the premise of like making music, and Ryan was the producer of his clique. I was rapper extraordinaire, producer, kind of Kanye type.
I was like the T-Pain of my clique though, because I did all the hooks for us and auto-tune. So yeah. I was like, I actually made our records hot as opposed to like Nick's. Like,
well, mine was more kind of, it was, I don't know, more forward thinking, if I could say that. So anyways, we met on that kind of premise, and my rap clique in my senior year, Ryan had already graduated high school, had like this ridiculous like show lined up to play at Sunfest. It's like this festival here in South Florida, and we didn't have any songs recorded at all. And we were like, yo, like we hit up Ryan. He's the only person we knew that had a microphone. And so like, yo, we need to record 8 songs in like 4 days. Can you please hook us up? And he was like, sure. And that's kind of how the relationship began. And that's our story.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So we got the T-Pain and then the Kanye.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, I don't know about no. I don't think so. It's more like the T-Pain and like the I don't know.
James Blake, Kanye.
Common?
No,
Yeah, what
no.
about Common? Like a conscious rapper of sorts.
I had a lot of punchlines.
I was more like the Drake. We can go with Drake. I was the Drake.
Drake to Kanye. Fine, I'll take that.
So was there any? Do you guys use any of your own vocals on any record on those records?
No,
we learned our lesson early.
but yeah, funny enough, yeah, we recorded vocals a lot, like a lot of auto tune for many years. But this is before the Sponges. The song DAD with Wongo, the vocalist is actually our buddy Owie Corbin, and so we did those in here.
And Nick's voice is actually on that record.
Yeah, I have a whisper track in the beginning of it, and that's about as far as my vocal confidence goes these days.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did so that was you guys came up with the name The Sponges? Was that the first The Sponges gig?
Yeah, basically like we so Ryan had been working on this idea of like blending like funk electronic music, kind of like the Floozies and Grizz and like Opia and that kind of shit with like bass house, like AC Slater and stuff that was popping back in like, I don't know, 2016 or so. And like we were at a music festival, we were at Bonnaroo, right?
Yeah.
Bonnaroo 2016, and Ryan was just like, what if like those two genres merged or whatever? So Ryan spent like a good year and a half like just producing that, like only just like funky house music, and I was doing some like sample choppy kind of like French housey stuff for a little bit. And I brought Ryan this track and I was like, yo, like, and literally jokingly walked into his room and I was like, yo, I started this new band called The Sponges. Do you want to be my lead singer? And he was like, sure. And I showed him this track. It ended up being the song called Somebody that we have on our SoundCloud. It's just like our very first Sponges effort, like dance song. And that's
Sick.
kind of how that all started. Yeah.
Hell yeah. So
it was kind of a joke. Yeah.
Where does the name actually come from? The Sponges.
He just wanted something like the Beatles.
Literally, I like looked up online, like I was like, the Beatles is the hardest name of all time. So I looked up like I like looked up on Google like list of animals, and I saw sponge on there, and I was like, sponges, that's kind of hard. And then I was literally, that's it. But we've like assigned our own meaning to it since then. And
who would have saw sponges and said, damn, that's hard?
I don't know. There's something to it. I liked how it looked on paper. And anyways, it didn't take any thought though. Like it was, which is ironic because the many years prior we were like, what name are we gonna have? And like that was such an important thing, you know. And but like it ended up being just such a silly little thing that ended up being our name.
Man, I love that. That's organic as fuck. That's how it should be. Like the best stuff is always, don't panic, it's organic.
Yeah, dude. That's a quote right there.
That's a motto.
I
stole it from Stizzy.
Shout out Stizzy.
Shout out Stizzy. Friends of the show. We will have new Stizzy bongs soon, I promise. So walk us through. So you do your first show. That was your first tune. How did you link with Wongo and Box of Cats? Was that your first release was on Box of Cats?
Yeah. So you being a label owner might absolutely despise this story, but we had our song Make It Juicy, and we literally spammed SoundCloud, just like sent it to everybody. Like I don't even know what we were hoping for at the time. We were just we wanted people to hear it.
Well, no, because we've never actually put out music before ever. Like,
yeah,
we've been working on music since we were like in high school, and we were like 26 now. I was 26 or so, 25. But anyways, we were just excited to see what would happen if we sent it to everybody that we knew.
Yeah, so we sent it to like a bunch of fucking people, people that hit us up like years later, even oddly enough.
Yeah, yeah. That's fine.
But yeah, Mark Spence ended up answering it. He was like the only person that like had some like pull and like was like, "Yo, like this is a really dope tune. Like, you guys mind if I send it to the Box of Cats lads?" And we're like, "Hell yeah, absolutely!" Like, and then Wonga hit us up shortly after that, and that's that's kind of how that happens.
Yeah,
It was,
I think that's a pretty natural progression as well. Is like, once you start making tunes, you got to get them. That's great advice, actually. I think, even though some people might say against that, but I think that you want to get your tunes to DJs that are going to play your music, and hopefully, someone's like, "Yo, someone dope." Like, shout out, Mark Spence is going to be like, "I have a homie at this label who can, might like this and might want to sign it," and so I think that's one of those stars align kind of things. So that's perfect.
definitely.
I will say though that we had been working on music for years, like probably like 7 or 8 years before that moment.
Yeah,
So,
like
like,
genuinely like dedicated all of our time to making music. So I think that's like a very common thing for like youngsters in the game that are like just starting out. Like they'll be like, "Yo, I just made my first track. Like, who do I send it to?" And I'm like, "Dude, send it to yourself. Like, listen to it. It's trash." But like, but, but yeah, that I think we were really lucky. I think in that way that
somebody listened to it.
Yeah, someone listened to it, and the first thing that we actually tried to put out like worked. We had another track that like, well, I won't even get into that, but we were very lucky with finding Mark Spence.
Yeah.
Shit, yeah. I mean, 7 years. That's putting in work. So that's like another great tip is that you got to put in the work. It's got to get to the right level, and like it's all part of the process. And
Yeah.
you guys
I
are
mean,
probably going to be making.
it wasn't like a concentrated effort. Like I'm gonna work on music for work on house music or some shit. Like we just been making music since we were kids. Since I was like 15, I think is when I first got FL Studio because I wanted to be Kanye.
Mm-hmm.
I think my first beat was like a straight up 808s and Heartbreak rip off. It was
Shout
fire.
out Kanye.
That shit went hard.
So you guys are all in FL Studio?
No, we both started on FL, but now I'm on Ableton and Ryan's on Logic. So
yeah, I've been on Logic for many years now.
yeah,
Fuck,
I got
finally someone that's on Logic. No one that comes on
Yes,
here
dude.
besides Gop is
Nice.
on Logic.
Well, AC Slater's on Logic, is he not?
I didn't even talk to him about that, but
I think he moved into Abletown.
I
I want to say that
know
I
he
saw a demo of his where it looked like it was Ableton. I could be wrong.
I
though.
know he was on Logic at least for a while. I mean, yeah, it is good to see. Like, I'm always excited to see someone else who's on Logic.
Kyle Watson, he's
No,
on
he's on
Logic.
oh,
Cubase.
dope.
Oh, never mind. Cubase. That's just weird. Like that's Cubase.
When I first started, I was on. It was called Fruity Loops. That's how old
Yeah,
I
Fruity
am.
Loops.
Before it was
Yeah.
FL Studio, there was just Fruity Loops,
Yeah,
and I was like,
man.
"Oh, you use Fruity Loops?"
Yeah, got it.
Damn, dude.
But
That's legendary shit.
and then when I moved to Ableton, the compressor in Ableton didn't even have a sidechain input on it. So it was like Ableton 4 or 5 maybe.
Oh wow. Yeah.
But that was a long time ago. Enough about the. So if
I don't know, we can go on with that for a bit. Though.
Yeah, dude. Like how were the egg creams when you were growing up?
What is an egg cream?
That's like an old 50s drink. I'm sorry, bad joke.
I thought you were talking about like a Cadbury egg. I was like, man, those used to be my favorite shits on Easter. So, all right. So shit. So let me know. I mean, obviously the show kind of was born in one of the craziest, wildest times of our life in kind of more of a negative sense. So it sounds like you guys kind of had the same, similar situation, had gigs lined up. I think you guys were telling me before we went on, you were about to hit up Down Under, hit up Australia, and a pandemic happened. So something I like to ask and kind of pick artists' brains is, what did you guys do to keep yourself sane, to keep yourself motivated? Did you just stop writing music for a while, or did you like keep pumping them out, or did you end up Like what are some things that you guys did to stay motivated, to stay like finishing dope tunes throughout this whole pandemic bullshit?
Well, I mean, we worked on music a lot during the pandemic. We definitely tried a lot of different shit. I think that was one interesting thing that kind of happened during our pandemic experience. We tried to write different sounding music, um, which yielded little to no results. And kind of just like, I don't know, it was tough. Like a lot of, at least, I mean, I could speak for myself, like the mindset was very like, we're writing club music in a world that there are no clubs at all. And like, it was kind of strange. And so it was tough, I don't think we really wrote anything that we ended up really keeping in that time, but we did continuously grind. And
Yeah, it's like I remember like it was yesterday, like the beginning of pandemic, and just being like, you know what, this is a blessing in disguise. Like we're gonna have an album coming out of this. Like we're about to make some legendary music, and we literally we probably finished like 2 songs the whole year.
Yeah, we
Me
tried,
too.
but I mean,
Really?
damn, that's crazy. I mean, it takes us a long time to finish songs in general. Like, and with the pandemic, it was like, yeah, it was just another element of like, I don't know, is this hot? I can't even tell. I feel like I've never heard bass before.
Yeah, it's not even like we rely on playing shows to see if like demos are hot, because that was like a brand new thing for us. Like we like playing shows in general, but not even being able to go out on the scene and like see what other people are playing and like see what you're actually vibing to was like detrimental to our creativity.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And like even just being able to see like other genres and other groups, like seeing, we love going to festivals, we love like jam band shit, we love like electronic music in general, and not having that frame of reference alone it was tough, but I mean, luckily we got through it. I mean, shit, like now it feels like we're like mentally back also.
Well, you guys are also in Florida too, so you guys started a lot earlier before everyone else. Everything was shut down, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, "It's still open in Florida." Oh, I got a bunch of homies that moved from New York to Florida. Everyone's moving to Florida. Florida's like, we don't want no fucking New Yorkers here.
Yeah.
But Florida's been a while, and that's what I was saying before. Is I just came back from camping, and wow, like Florida fucking is the shit. I was like, I would like to move to Florida, but I'm still.
How'd you
I'm
like
still in New
camping?
York. Man, it was like, just like what you guys are saying, is everyone's inside, can't do anything, can't go anywhere, scared, and like am I gonna get COVID? Is this like, I know a lot of family members and homies that got really, really sick and didn't even make it and shit. But now that we see there's like this kind of like light at the end of the tunnel, but everyone's been in this little box, and I was explaining it in this interview there, is it's like a Jack in the Box that is just like taking forever to open. So it's building up this tension. It's like and then finally boom, and like the kids are just ready to fucking go wild. And so it's like
that's a really good analogy.
Yeah, this new energy of people. Like, it's obviously those festivals are always great anyways, but now since everyone's got all this pent up energy and frustration, and people are like horny, they've been like away from the opposite sexes and like away from having a mask on. It's like you see people's faces, you can talk to people, you can smell even stinky people. It's like, man, even I miss all the fucking stinky ass festival people, and it's just like, I never thought I'd ever say that, but it was a beautiful thing, and the kids are ready to go, and I feel like you guys probably got a lot of things lined up too, and the show's just been coming in like crazy, and it's like everything's opening back up. You guys have anything coming up that you want to plug or announce? Or
we've got a bunch of shows coming up as well. One really cool thing we're doing is we're opening up for Manic Focus in Colorado or Utah in July, which we're stoked about.
Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's exciting.
We're playing Seismic this weekend.
Oh yeah.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, Seismic Festival this weekend.
Swag.
Yeah, I was gonna say we wanted to be at Camp-In. It's only like a 2.5 hour drive from us, but we were out of town touring the past like 2 weekends, so we just wanted to like kick it at home with our ladies.
Yeah. But
Shit.
that shit looks super lit though. We've been to that venue before for home base,
Yeah.
and goddamn, it gets fucking ratchet over there.
Yep.
Man, crazy. Where were you guys at leading up to that?
We were in Colorado. We were in Denver. We had this venue called Your Mom's House. We had,
Which was sick.
which was such a dope venue. Like 4 back-to-back shows because of the capacity. It was like we played 2 nights and 2 shows each night, and that was really sweet. And then we just played Ohio, Columbus, Ohio last weekend.
Yeah.
No,
Was
with
at the
DJ
Forum?
The Forum, yeah.
The Forum,
Oh,
yeah.
Dope.
That
Yeah.
was a really sick. Have you been there?
I'm playing there June 19th.
Oh, you're gonna
cool.
love it, dude.
They
It's,
have,
it's
dude,
awesome.
It's one of the coolest green rooms I've ever been in.
Fuck
Yeah.
yeah.
That's not saying much. I haven't been in many, but it was cool.
Yeah, it's really dope. Shout out to DJ Susan. He like on a whim
That's
just like
dude,
came with us.
That's actually a funny story. So DJ Susan was in Fort Lauderdale, and we were flying out of Fort Lauderdale, and Nick and I, our flight was at like 1 p.m. and we missed our flight.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and so so our flight then wasn't. Then we had 7 hours. They like rescheduled us for an 8 p.m. flight, which like made it really tight for our show. But anyways, we call up Susan, meet up with him, straight up just get drunk the whole day. Somehow convince him to come to Ohio with us. So he just buys a ticket. He says so he comes to Ohio under the premise of being our tour manager. And like he's like he calls up the person that's picking us up and he's like I need blunts rolled. I need a bottle of tequila. Like you're not picking these guys up without fucking like beers in the
They're
car.
gonna be Don Julio's in my boy's hands.
Man, Don Julio all the way.
It was
Dude.
it was sick. It was a good time.
Man, shout out DJ Susan.
For real. Shout out to Gallo too. He was there as
I'm
well.
sorry, yeah, Gallo was there as well.
Shout out
Yeah.
Gallo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that shit was that was funny. So yeah, now we're playing Seismic this weekend, and we have a lot of Denver shows, a lot of Colorado shows. Yeah,
Man,
Yeah.
I love Denver so much.
It's
Denver's
so
the
great.
shit.
Where
Yeah,
are you?
man.
Where are you right now?
You're in New York, right?
Yeah, I'm actually in Rochester, New York. I was in Brooklyn for about 17 years, and I when the pandemic happened, shit got real as fuck, and my roommate got COVID, and the cook from his work died from it like the first week.
What?
And like luckily I ended up staying. I had just started seeing this girl, and she was like, you can just stay at my 1-bedroom apartment with me. And then shit got locked down. That was when I was supposed to go on tour, and manager's like, get ready to cancel everything. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I just fucking bought 30 plane tickets. And it's like, oh, it's like serious shit. And I didn't really believe it at first, and then next thing you know, everyone's got COVID and everything. The subway's shut down. You can't leave your house, and it's like, what the fuck? But long story short, I ended up streaming in her living room, and that's how the first streams kind of started. And eventually, I was just like, I'm getting the fuck out of New York City, and I've had a house that now I have a full house. I've been living in like a tiny apartment for the past I don't know how many years. So now I got a full house. I got a stream room. I got my own. Usually I'm working out of someone else's studio that I got to take a subway or train to, and I just walk upstairs and I got my studio, and I got the stream room, and I got an editing room, and for the same price that I had this little tiny bedroom that I could barely open the door because I had so much shit in there. So it's
God
like,
damn.
That sounds like you got the setup now.
Yeah, that's crazy. Congrats.
but it costs a lot more money to fly out. I'm out in Rochester, New York now, but
So is Rochester north of the city?
yeah, it's like northwest. So I'm like really
It gets a little colder.
yeah, way colder, and I'm basically very close to Canada. So like before
Yeah.
I moved, I grew up here, and my mom and dad and sister and grandmother are all in like within walking distance right now. So I've been far enough. It's like I would say a 6-hour drive, maybe a little more, a little less. So it's tight, and it's like I have a backyard. I did yoga fucking butt naked earlier in like
Swag.
outside, and I'm just like I couldn't do that. I couldn't even, you know, I would have to
Can't
walk
even make it
down.
inside.
I couldn't even be naked inside. That's so funny because it's so true.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
But yeah,
Damn,
now I'm
that's
just butt
crazy.
naked all the time. Like I don't even have pants or underwear on right now. I just put a
I
shirt
believe
on.
it.
for the
Fucking
stream.
go.
So, dude, you said so you grew up in New York. Earlier, you asked us if any of our family members were like musicians or anything, which the answer to that is no. On both our ends. But did you grow up like around music?
So the funny thing is, you guys say the Beatles is like my dad, like basically worked in a collision shop with my grandfather his whole life, and so he always kind of had like a normal, pretty extensive 24-hour towing and collision shop job, but he's a badass guitar player, and like we'd go on like family vacation, go camping or something like that, and all we would listen to is the Beatles, and like he would play Beatles songs and Stevie Ray Vaughan and like um, rock and blues kind of stuff. So I was fortunate enough that I grew up around a lot of it, and I think that he, if he wanted to, he could have been a badass musician, but he was more worried about supporting the family and running the biz with my grandfather and stuff. So like that was never really dope artist too, and he would paint all the tow trucks and race stock cars, and so he amazing creative person, but it was never a profession. That was always like just something that he did because he liked to do it. So luckily, yeah, I was around my uncle too. My uncle lived in LA since way before I was born, and he was in a whole bunch of bands, but he moved out from Rochester to LA by taking a bus, taking everything that he had, and he like basically chained his bass guitar to his leg and took a bus all the way out from New York to California and never moved back. And he was in a bunch of bands, and he had a video on MTV like in the late 80s, and like was climbing that ladder. And be like you guys know being a musician is hard no matter what genre you're in. Like making, especially I feel like nowadays there's so many people doing it, and there's it's so easy to do it. You don't really need a $30,000 mixing board or anything like that. You can like basically do most of your shit on a laptop. So it's flooded with people. So you really gotta separate yourself from everyone else, which I think you guys do great, because funk and kind of like funky bass lines mixed with the electronic music and the sample editing and the like wild bass lines and all that stuff, and like I love that shit. So there's not, I don't know who else does that. There's not really too many people. I know Grizz definitely has his finger on that, but he's more, he goes all over the place. And the way that you guys kind of go all over the place, but still have your own sound, I think that's a unique thing, and definitely why, like I was saying before, is Vanessa actually was the one that I feel like kind of really was like, oh, the Sponges are dope, because literally all the tunes that come out, like the stream crew knows that I play your guys' shit like crazy. So I'm stoked to have you guys on the show. You guys gonna do a mix? I'm fucking stoked for that shit. Does before we even wrap this shit up, does the crew, you guys have any questions before we get into this set? I seen one earlier. Let me see if I can find this shit. Do you guys have anything else that you want to plug?
We did want to actually. So you mentioned scratching, and we did want to ask you about your experience scratching.
Yeah, first of all, just want to throw the praise back at you. Like every time I see a video of you scratching, like I'm like, yes, like
you're
take me to Codes a show.
I feel like you're one of the only ones scratching on house music.
Yeah, it's so sick.
Which we love.
I remember Ryan
Appreciate
showing me your shit like years ago, and he was just like, because I was like, man, why is no one fucking scratching on this shit? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's electronic, it's dance music. And Ryan was like, dude, check out Codes. Like, showed me your videos, and it's just like, I was like, yes. So, anyways, shout out to your shit. That shit is awesome.
Thanks, man. I mean, I feel like it's really, I I've been DJing for a minute, so like turntables. I started on turntables, so it's kind of whack to scratch on CDJs, but eventually, and even to be honest, to DJ on CDJs, and I was like, fuck that. I'm never. I also come from like drum and bass and hip hop, and I was like, I'm never gonna play house music. And then I started playing house music, and I was like, I'm never gonna not play vinyl. I'm never gonna use a computer to DJ. And then I started using Serato, and then I started using Tractor. And I was like, I'm never gonna use CDJs. And then eventually I'm like, you know what? I gotta get this like I'm never gonna do thing out of the way because I usually end up eating my words pretty hard. So then eventually I was like, fuck, and I started touring with a lot of, and it was a pain in the ass to have people set up turntables. So I was like, man, you know what? I should be able to do it on anything. So I just started practicing, and shout out my boy Devin, who was Nicole Madauber's tour DJ, and I think she used Tractor, so she didn't even use the setup that they gave her. They gave her like a brand new Nexus setup or something, and so he had it, but he didn't have a place to put it, so he left it at my house, and he was kind of he was managing me at the time, so I had him just in my apartment in Brooklyn, and I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna figure out how to use these things and how to do them, and I still am now. And then through the after parties, people have like, I love going to after parties and like surprising people and being like, fuck it, let's go, and like plugging into a controller, and like I'm like, I will fuck shit up on anything. So like I got rid of that kind of mentality where I'm a purist, I need fucking turntables or this or that. It's like now I definitely do. I prefer obviously CDJ Nexus 2s, but give me a fucking whatever and we'll come through and rock that shit. So the progression of being like thinking that you're too cool to do things where like eventually that kind of went out the window, and now I'm just like, I want to do all of it. Let's go.
Oh yeah, dude.
So like let's rewind back like 60 years to when you were young. Was it difficult for you? Like, did it take you a while to get your chops scratching?
I mean, doing everything. So when I started DJing when I was 14, and there was no YouTube. There was dial-up internet. So and you couldn't really see a DJ unless you went to a club. And when I was 14, even though I went to my first rave when I was 14 too, like that's where that started, where it was like, if there's a will, there's a way, and I'm gonna do it. So I would sneak into raves and clubs and get as close as I could to being a DJ. And like, I think that I still kind of look young for my age, but like when I was young, like teenager, I probably looked like I was like 10. So like somehow I still figured out, I got kicked out of every club in Rochester at one point in time. And I had my first residency when I was 16, called La Selva. No, 17. And right before I graduated high school, and I had already been kicked out of everywhere. And so me and Kevin Noyes went to high school together. He was a couple of years older than me, and we used to sit in art class talking shit about how whack the DJs were. Like we're like, no one would ever let us get on, but we were both into scratch. He can scratch really dope too, and he doesn't do it. I bug him about. I'm like, why don't you scratch anymore, man? We would run off school property at lunchtime up to my house and like go and scratch in my basement when my parents weren't home, and no one would know we were over there. And so this was all in high school, and it took so long to learn even how to mix two records together, because if you ever tried mixing vinyl together, it's completely different than CDJs. So like, there's no key lock. So if you push or pull it to slow it down, you hear the change in pitch. So to do it smoothly, eventually you figure out it's called like pitch riding, where you kind of speed it way up and then kind of bring it back down, so it like you don't hear the push of it. And now with CDJs, you got master tempo on, which is a key lock, so you can push it and pull it, and no matter how fast it goes, it's the same exact pitch, so you don't hear all that shit. But eventually, I was at my boy's house in his basement, and we would leave school and we were all into jungle and drum and bass. And I remember one day just looking up at him, and I matched the two beats together, and we both looked at each other like, holy shit, that's what we're supposed to do. But this was like years after we first started DJing. So I started DJing when I was 14. This is probably like 16, maybe like late 16 when we finally figured out how to do it. And we were just so we just had to recreate, try to figure it out. So scratching was even harder to learn. And we would just learn from tapes. There was no visual. We would just listen. Except for, that's not true. There was like VHS tapes. So like Qbert put out these turntable TV tapes. Craze had some tapes. It was Craze and A-Track, the Allies, and Clever and J Smoke and their whole crew. And so but there was these tapes, only a certain amount were made. It's not like on the internet where everything's like infinite. You can watch, listen, and get music infinity, like on the internet. These tapes, there would only be like 100 made. And the only way to get them was to go to like a head shop or a record shop that's selling them, or you get them from a rave that you went to. And usually we'd have to sneak into it, and they would be selling like tapes in front when you come in or the exit or whatever. So it's completely different. Now it's like I could show someone how to DJ on CDJs in like literally 5 minutes probably. I used to teach at a school called Dubspot too a bunch of years ago, and I would teach kids how to mix, and like people had no idea about music, that weren't even musically inclined and had no rhythm. Super easy with Serato or CDJs or whatever, because I had a formula, I knew how to do it. But I was like, you motherfuckers, you know how to mix now in 2 weeks. This took me like 2-3 years of like playing records that should be on 33 on 45 and like doing everything wrong so many times until we accidentally do it right. So Rockadilly's in the chat. He knows fucking since I've been a wee little kid. Yeah, crazy shit. But now that's why it's like pushing the culture, pushing DJing, pushing mixing, pushing production. And obviously I could talk and talk. Long story short, that's where the name comes from, is because sometimes I just can't shut the fuck up. But and I just like, you got to wrap it up. Long story short, yeah, it took me a really long time how to get good at anything. Yeah. So I got a couple years into it.
Oh yeah, man. Well, I'd love to pick your brain more about it. That sounds fucking awesome.
Yeah, we should fucking work on a tune, or next time I'm in Florida, or next time you guys are in New York or whatever. Shit, we should set up some shows. I don't know. All kinds of cool shit's going on, and like the shows are back, the tours are back, everything's back, and I feel like it's better than it was, even though it sucked. And I was in the same boat as you guys. Like I was just like banging my head against the wall, trying to figure things out, trying to make new stuff. And I was just like, are we ever coming back? But anyway, I want to get into the set that you guys did. But before, I just started talking. So if anyone asked anything, I missed it. You guys got anything to scratching? Can it be done as well in a CDJ? I don't think that it can, but there's different shit that you can do. And that's what I've been trying to kind of experiment with, is like cue points and loops and 900 effects and stuff. And
we actually have on our record Funked Up, we had a buddy of ours do the scratching for it, and that was done on CDJs. Now it sounded absolutely terrible. We doctored it up on Logic, but that's a fun fact.
Yeah, I'm trying to find this guy. I still haven't used this thing to the most of its ability, but I have this Newmark. You might have seen this one before.
Shit. Yeah, I got that shit. I got two of those.
You have one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the one with the fader built into it?
Oh yeah, right there. Yeah. Yeah. It's fun. So still need to make better scratches. Scratching's so fucking hard, dude. That's why we wanted to ask you about it, because I was like, how am I supposed to do this shit? I've been like I've been banging my head against the wall trying to be DJ Premier over here.
Well, there's a lot to it, and like learning on that thing, I'm not gonna lie, is tough. That's what I think.
I knew it, Ryan. It wasn't my idea.
It's been that thing I used to bring on the road for the past 2 or 3 years. I brought that, and at first I had a little tiny fader that connected to it, and then eventually, like this is a dope little investment. This is the
That's the
Raiden,
Radon.
yeah,
Raiden.
RPM 100, and like I would bring this and that little mixer, and in the hotel room before the shows, I would just sometimes I'd live stream, sometimes just jam and record videos and shit. But if you can scratch on that little tiny bit of a setup, once you use a real setup, it's like driving like a shitty old beater and then getting a fucking BMW and like, you know, feeling like you're barely pushing on the gas and you're cruising. So it's like
And we need
I
to get
think
you a turntable.
yeah, I
That's
think
next
getting
up.
getting a turntable and like a scratch mixer is definitely tight. But man, if you guys are going to be using CDJs, practice with CDJs. I'll send you guys some scratch samples or some shit, and like I don't know, we'll figure it out. I feel like that we're gonna see each other on the road somewhere, and we'll just fucking jam sometime.
That sounds great, man. Yeah,
We'll put that
let's
put that in
definitely plan on that.
universe.
Hell yeah, dude.
Definitely.
So you might have never gotten a mix that's this bad of quality before. Like this, the music sounds great, but we recorded it on our iPhone. So just throwing that out there also.
I think that
it's
we're
not
gonna
very
love
visually
it.
stimulating.
Nah, it's tight. I think we're gonna love it. And
Let's fucking go.
We put some pretty lights up. Shout out Pretty Lights.
Shout out, Derek.
the so shit, guys. Well, make sure you're following these guys. I'm gonna play this mix that they did for the show, and yeah, we'll put that out in the universe. Maybe we'll work on some tunes or fucking play some shows in the future.
Yep.
Sounds awesome, dude. Well, thank you so much for having us. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Big
Pleasure.
up, couple more crew, the Sponges, couple more crew. Long story short, stick around for their set, and I'll see you guys Friday, 10 p.m. New York time for Welcome to Code's House. Appreciate y'all. Peace, peace, peace.
Later.
Dope.